So, I've been healing people all day. One of the benefits of being employed by Vivek, I suppose. He absolutely insisted that I learn it. One has to wonder how much he knew. From what you tell me, he was sent back. And yet, when this all started, he seemed completely taken by surprise.
I get the idea. He didn't expect this to happen so soon.
Well, that makes sense, I suppose. Maybe that's why he hasn't written anything about what will come. I think he'd almost rather keep pretending this is just the same as it would have been before. Except it definitely... Oh! Sir, I mean... Lord Dagoth. A pleasure to see you again. Your daughter is still recovering well. I'll see myself out.
Actually, boy, I'm here to see you. We've got something important to talk about.
My lord, I swear I've done nothing, whatever the other servants might have said. I mean nothing since I...
You know, there was a time I would have been pleased at this fright. Simpler times, boy. Simpler times. No. This is a serious discussion. And before you say anything, Haj-deek, no. I'm not going to kill him and dump his body in the canal.
Dad, you'll forgive me for not believing you, I'm sure.
We won't be too long. There's just some things that need to be said. There's a temporary lull in the fighting and, well, come along, boy, before I repent of being so generous.
Honestly, my lord, I can't see how I haven't been tossed in the canal already, considering the things I've done. Everyone knows how much you hate Imperial, so...
Quite honestly, if I'd had my way, you would never have laid eyes on my daughter to begin with. But I'm well familiar with how things go when you attempt to make plans. The only reason I am dealing with you so kindly now is the fact that what you have to offer outshines that of any other I could find for her. I told my daughter this once, and I still mean it. I would not part with her for any man less than a king. I'd have preferred someone that would join House Dagoth, so that I need never lose her, but... Though you have yet to come into what awaits you, honestly, I'm not sure you'd be able to do it. You know nothing of how to deal with the political games of the powerful, the manipulations and snares they would set out for you. They'll eat you alive unless you have help. And that's to say nothing of the opposition you'll be facing. Dagoth Ur's disguise as the Emperor led to much mistrust from the public, mistrust that extended to the Emperor's sons. Lighting those dragon fires Vivek mentioned will be helpful, of course, but you need support.
Support I would get from you and Lord Vivek?
I have hated Imperials down to the bone, hated everything that was yielded to them by the tribunal that came before. I'm sure you can imagine what would be said should I allow this, even assist in it. Perhaps there will even be mention of the oblivion crisis driving me to desperation to protect my family. They'll say that the new tribunal supports you, that you're a puppet emperor. Could your imperial ego stand that?
My lord, the second time I met your daughter, I was covered in cliff racer bite wounds and screaming like a girl. She's seen me hungover. She's seen me afraid. Honestly, I have no ego to speak of in that regard. I was no one before I came to Morrowind. Well, the champion of sanguine, maybe? But that was something to distract me from all the things I didn't have. All the things I never would. And then I met her again when you and Lord Vivek made your truce. King Helseth's wedding. Every time I saw her, I saw more of the good she did. More of the kindness I tried to convince myself Well, I've gone on too long. I'll only say I do care for her. Though I only realized it when she told me. That Duke Duran was sweet-talking her. I couldn't understand why the thought of losing her to someone else was so painful, but...
Does she know?
No, of course not. At first it was because, well, I'm an Imperial and she's your daughter. I want to keep my head. And then it was because I didn't want... She deserves better than to be a piece in Vivek's plan. Me. I might complain now and then, but I'm nobody. I'm happy to be a piece in a plan if it means I have something more to aspire to. even if it's just as a god's errand boy. It's a job, and a place in the world that's better than what I had before. But her? Even if I am the Emperor's son, she deserves better. By akatosh, I still have trouble staying sober if I'm not being watched. It's why I was so eager to toss out her skooma when I found it. I know what it's like to...
You were the one who got her off the skooma. I'd been trying for over a year.
Well, I may possibly have threatened to tell you when she got angry that I threw her supply out. She didn't want you finding out about it, for obvious reasons.
I'm not sure what irks me more. The fact that I have to be grateful to an Imperial for saving my daughter a second time, or the fact that he did what I couldn't. I'm never going to be fully comfortable with the idea, but when you tell her how you feel...
What? Tell her? With all due respect, my lord, are you crazy? I can't do that.
You can and you will. And do you know why? Because if you don't, you'll lose her. And you'll regret it every day for the rest of your life. You'll stare at the door and imagine what it would be like for her to walk through it, maybe even dream of her. The only advantage will be nothing else will ever hurt as badly. I know what emptiness awaits you because I've lived it, boy. So what you're going to do is this. You're going to confess these feelings to her, and if she is of the same mind, gods above, I can't believe I'm saying this to an Imperial. If she's of the same mind, then you will have my approval, and we will have much more to talk about.
Yes. Yes, of course, my lord. And if I may be frank, I'm glad you're her father, and not, say Lord Vivek. I'd probably be in for a 12-day lecture of the nature of love and the twinning of souls, and the divines only know what else.
And somehow you'd look up and find that only 2 hours had passed. What a torture that would be for...
Baurus, I found them. By the Green Pact, I thought we'd never find you in all this mess.